Well. Country roads do take you back home, and Rich Rodriguez is back looking to take West Virginia back to national relevance. We're going to talk about the upcoming season, this week's matchup against Robert Morris, and a whole lot more here today on Year 7, Episode 1 of the Walkthrough Game Day Show.
Look at what happens when you're consistent, again, in all three phases of the game. Look at what happens when you're focused and you don't have the mental breakdown and the MAs that prevent you from doing exactly what they did in Stillwater.
Rich Rodriguez has a strong backing. Ken Kendrick, Pat McAfee, Ike Morris, so on and so forth. There's a lot of people with deep pockets that are ready to help this football team win.
Your lightning in the bottle guy is your lightning in your bottle guy. So sometimes you can't put him in that role because he's going to get beat up and nicked up throughout the course of the game, which does take away from his flashiness and his ability to make big plays.
Give me the Mountaineers, baby.
But yeah, this rivalry it's a lot of fun. It has to keep going.
Let's go Mountaineers all day, every day. Let's go.
Welcome back, everybody. It is another year of the Walkthrough Game Day Show. I'm Schuyler, Callihan, and joined with me, as always, legendary Mountaineer running back, number 33, Eugene Napoleon, number 33. How's it going, brother?
Man, it goes well. It goes well. You already know I'm super excited. And you know why?
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes. Let's dive into this thing.
Listen, I love these Walkthrough Game Day shows. It's been a lot of fun over the years. We can't thank you guys enough for the support, for keeping us going over the years, and we've really grown. And that's a hats off to all you guys that have watched us, listened to us out over the years, and we hope you continue to do that throughout the season. If you're new, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button here to the YouTube page at West Virginia on SI. Pretty much what this is, if you are new, we talk about the matchup every week. We give some things to watch for, some players to watch. We do some fun segments around college football every now and again. And of course, as always, Gene, we always got to end the show with our weekly pick'ems. So at the end of the show, we encourage you to watch all the way through. If you go 5 for 5, you know the deal. You get this man's autographed picture. We'll send that out. We've had a couple of – I don't know if we had a winner last year, Gene. I think we may have had one, but –
we had one.
We had one last year, and I think the year before we had 2 or 3. So you go 5 for 5 in the picks any week, then you get that man's autograph. So let's just go ahead and start right where it should start, and that's with Rich Rodriguez and his return back to Morgantown. I know this has been well documented. We've talked about it. We've written about it all of the last 5-6 months, or how many ever months it's been. But I just don't know if there's – in this scenario, if this can even be talked about enough, Gene. I mean, this is something that just feels like it came out of a script from a movie that was made, back in the early 2000s or something, where this coach takes this school to national promise, and he's from the state. He went to the school. He played at the school, takes him to new heights. You know how the exit went, and there's no way in heck that this man ever comes back to coach this team. But here we are 17 years later, and he's the man leading the Mountaineers. What do you think?
I'm not surprised. I'm just not surprised. Like you said, if this was Hollywood, you couldn't write a better script, right?
Now he's just got to finish it. Go win the national championship before he retires.
Okay.
And then it's the perfect ending.
Listen, I just think for all that it's worth, to come back to the roots, the core roots of what West Virginia really is, do we have to say any more about what's the best fit? Rich Rod is the best fit for what West Virginia is, right?
Yep.
So to bring him back, if you want to get back to national relevance, which I think we can do that, right? I really do. I think we can do that. Who better at the helm? To be completely honest with you, who better at the helm? He brings a lot of different things to the table that West Virginia needs and that we fell off on. My years there, we were freaking dominant on defense, physical on defense, with an explosive offense, and really good on special teams, right? Well, unfortunately, under the last two stewards, the stewardship over the last, unfortunately, we didn't have that. We didn't have it. It was inconsistent at best, and defense was horrible at worst.
Yeah.
Okay, so offense was nowhere near where it needed to be on a consistent level to really compete and be competitive when we need to be competitive. You beat the teams you're supposed to beat. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being competitive with the teams that we have a much better history, historic program, and we seem to struggle with these teams. So no, you got to bring the man back to instill what West Virginia football is all about.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, it was almost like the shot in the arm that the team needed, the program needed, but more importantly, maybe even like the fan base. I mean, you're talking about this day and age with NIL and that thing being as big as it is, you need fan support more than ever. It is, I mean, when you're talking about building relationships with big time donors or just the fan base, having that connection with the fan base, it's huge. And that's why, even if it wasn't Rich Rod, it had to have been somebody that could establish that relationship right from the jump. And like you said, I don't think there's anybody better than the guy who had you on the doorstep of the national championship less than 2 decades ago. So I think it makes a lot of sense. Now the question is, Gene, can he do it again? Can he put West Virginia back on the map and sustain success and put them in a position where it's not just you get to a bowl game and you get the 7 wins, you get to 8 wins, and you kind of feel like that's good enough. I don't know that that's going to be good enough moving forward. He was brought here, in my opinion, and I think you could say this for every coach or every AD out there that makes these hires, but he was brought here to win a Big 12 championship and have this team as a Big 12 contender year in and year out. And what does that also do, Gene? When you win the Big 12, you're in the college football playoff. So
Absolutely.
that's to me the number one reason why he was here, or why he's the guy, because he knows what it takes to win here. He's done it before, even if it was 17 years ago. He knows some of the things behind the scenes and has those relationships with big time people and just with the state in general that a lot of other people aren't going to have. So I think it's possible. It's much tougher, but can he do it? Can he put West Virginia back on the map, get him on the doorstep, or maybe even into the national championship in round 2?
Have you ever heard the old adage, history repeats itself?
I think I have, yeah.
Yeah.
Just a couple
Okay.
times.
Yeah. So there's no reason why he can't. The only difference is, in this scenario of history repeats itself, he's not leaving.
Exactly.
This is
This
his
is
last
this is
stop.
the last stop.
This is it. He wanted to come back home. He's home. You want to bring the program back to a relevant national level, and I think he can do that. You want to be consistent, like you said, year in and year out in the Big 12, title game. I think he can do that. Here's the thing that people don't understand. Successful people have a model. They have a system. They're not going to tell you what their model is and what their system is. They're just going to show you.
Yeah.
So here's the thing with Rich. Everywhere he's been, he's won. People can say, Michigan, whatever. Everywhere Rich Rodriguez has been, he's won. He's made players better than what they were. Hard edge, very disciplined, pretty much dogmatic about what he does. But guess what? That's what it takes. If you want to be able to compete at the next level, that's what it takes. I don't think there would have been any better hire for what we are in our program right now. I'm talking about.
Right.
Right now, there's no better hire. You had to bring him back and give him the reins, let him do what he does. And when the smoke clears, I am more sure the fans will be happy, the state will be happy, College football won't be too happy, but okay, because he's gonna do what he does.
Yeah,
You know,
look, a successful West Virginia, in my opinion, maybe this is just bias speaking here, but is better for college football. But it's even better when you have a guy like Rich Rodriguez leading the Mountaineers because we've already seen some of the things that he'll say in press conferences. He's not shy to just spit his thoughts out. There's not too much of a funnel from his brain to his mouth sometimes, and it can lead to some funny stories. We all heard about the TikTok thing and whatnot. But last thing here on Rich Rod's return before we start turning the page here a little bit. How long are you giving Rich Rod, or how long do you feel like the administration should give Rich Rod? And I'm not saying like he's got to win by this season or he's fired. I'm more so saying, when do you expect this thing to be turned to where they're competing for that Big 12 championship?
the program will take in my humble opinion, a tremendous leap this year, this calendar.
Oh, wow. So we ain't playing no games, Dean. We hopping on this thing, and we were just sailing right away.
You're riding this thing like a horse. So I think this year it'll be a significant jump. I think next year, when you get a full recruiting class in, that will, be pretty much pancaked with this recruiting class. Now you start to turn the corner a little bit. Listen, by year 3, we'll be competing for a championship.
I think that's fair. I mean, because everyone wants to get excited about this season, and rightfully so. I mean, there's so many reasons to be excited. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, there's 70 some new players coming together trying to figure this thing out on the fly in a short amount of time. That's a tough ask. But like you said, you give him 2 years of high school recruiting, transfer portal recruiting, and by year 3, you're talking about some of those young pups starting to develop. There's not very many of them. This is a pretty veteran team that they have right now, but there's a solid nucleus. You have them coming in, and you add 2 more classes to that, high school and portal. I don't see why it couldn't happen by year 3. In the old days, they would say year 4, year 5 is when it should be for you to turn. Now with the transfer portal, we've seen teams and coaches flip that thing like that. So I would say year 3 makes a lot of sense. And by the way, we won't talk about it here today. I did yesterday on Between Years, but the scheduling makes a lot of sense now. It's going to help them. By 2027, the schedule sits up pretty darn nice now. I mean, 3 straight home games to open up the season, 0 Power 4 opponents. Just saying, that might be the year to push all your chips in the middle of the table and go for it. So we'll see. But let's move on. WVU depth chart came out also earlier this week on Tuesday. I don't really know what to make of it, Gene. We'll throw it up here on the screen. But just first here, looking at the offense, as expected, you have a bunch of question marks all across the board. But you do have a starting quarterback. Or you don't. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have one. It's Nico Marchiol or Jalen Henderson or Max Brown or Scotty Fox or Khalil Wilkins. So it's anyone's guess as to who that's going to be. As expected, that was never going to be announced before the game. And as I've mentioned several times here and on Between the Years, that's not going to be decided, I don't think, firmly until maybe even week 2 or 3. I think that thing's going to play out into the season. Couple of interesting spots here. Clay Ash kind of being I wouldn't say the de facto number 2. Sincere Bowers and Dior Hubbard, they're listed as well behind Jaheim White. But Clay Ash, former walk-on, tough, scrappy kid that can maybe find his way into some instant touches early as Ty Edwards gets back into the thick of things. The offensive line, pretty much what we had expected. Nick Cray, Walter Youngbear, Landon Livingston, Kimo Makanele, and Tykees Crawford. And then flipping over to the defense here, pretty much, again, this was, for the most part, what we expected. There are a couple surprises, though. Chris Filippo, true freshman, comes in. He was a safety. Now he's kind of that nickel Sam, going to line up as the number 2 behind Fred Perry, beating out Zay Jennings. At least that's what the depth chart indicates. And then at cornerback, you have Michael Coates and Jason Chambers as your starters. instead of Jordan Scruggs and Michael Coates. So there's a lot of competition across the board here. And as always, this thing is never set in stone. By the time game time rolls around, 2 or 3 of these starters might get flipped around anyway. It's not like West Virginia has to abide by what they put out there in this depth chart. So this thing is going to flip and turn. But in terms of the overall competition on both sides of the ball, what are the spots that you're going to be keeping your eyes on Saturday against Robert Morris?
Well, first off, let me say this. Again, we'll deal with the offense first. Because of the style of offense that Rich runs, as you just said, and it's very true, this thing is fluid.
Yeah.
This depth chart will be fluid. And it'll be fluid throughout the season because of the style of offense that he runs. But I'm going to say this. I'm really going to keep my eye at the quarterback position. Running backs, we have capable backs. I'm very excited about that running back room. These young people are capable to do what they need to do. That offensive line is going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And again, because of the style of offense that Rich runs, it'll be interesting to see the tempo of the big fellas up front. It's hard to explain, but when you see it, you know it. So what I'm saying is,
it's got to be like poetry in motion if that thing really wants to click.
Right. And what'll happen is, as the season matures, right, you'll start to see there may be a few pieces that'll move in and out.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's going to have to, only because of the tempo of this offense.
You're not going to see the same 5 guys from snap 1 to the end of the game. That's just never going to happen.
No, because of the when you're going 85, 90, 95 snaps.
And snapping, every 12, 15 seconds.
Ooh, man, let me tell you something now. You better be in track shape. Okay? So that's the one thing. Flipping to the defensive side of the ball, I'm really interested to see what this D-line is going to look like, because same as the offensive lineman, the tempo is going to dictate who is going to continue to play and play at a high level because of the snaps. Now, that secondary is very capable.
Oh, yeah.
Very capable of doing some big things this year. The linebacking crew, these kids are athletes. Let me tell you something about Rich. If you're going to start on a Rich Rodriguez offense, defense, and special teams, you're going to have to be able to be athletic enough to play multiple positions. I'm telling you that right now.
And you got to run.
Yeah, he's not one of these coaches that you get sucked into. Well, if he's a senior, he automatically starts. If he's a junior, no.
I mean, that's the case right here on defense. Speaking of, I didn't even mention Israel Boyce. He's listed as a starting safety who's a redshirt freshman, I believe, over KK Tarnu, who's a redshirt senior who played for Zach Alley at Jack State 2 years ago.
I saw that. But here's the deal. My dude, look. This is not a popularity contest.
No.
We're competing. So you're competing every week to win on who's ever on your schedule, right? Game by game, one game at a time. Okay. Well, you best to believe you're competing every day in practice to keep your job. That's what it is. Yeah. And if there's a freshman that can come in and he's better than your senior or your junior or even your redshirt sophomore, whatever the case may be, he gives us the best chance to win. You got to go with that guy. It's point blank, period. If you're a senior and you're going to allow, because you're not competing, you're going to allow a true freshman or redshirt freshman to come in to steal some snaps, to get some, wait a minute now, click, 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 click. Hey, come on. Then you got to ask yourself the question, did I want it? Was I prepared? Was I ready? No, you were not, because this young fella, he wants to click, 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 clicks. It is what it is. That's the age that we're in right now.
Hey, and you know too, Rich Rod, he is the type of coach. He may not play mind games with like the opposing coaches and stuff in press conferences, but he doesn't mind to like do some like it wouldn't surprise me if just for example, we don't know how close these battles were, but if Israel Boyce and KK were like this, it
Right.
wouldn't shock me if on the depth chart they just said, let's go with Boyce at number one and Tarnu number two, just to give a little shove to KK. You know what I mean? Like they're probably Tarnu is going to play a crap load of snaps. There is no question about that. He is talented. He can play several positions. He's played in
Absolutely.
this defense under Alley. He's going to play. But like I said, maybe there's just a little nudge, just a, hey, KK, let's go. Again, it's not saying that that's what the case was, but just as an example. So I love the competition. It's going to continue throughout the season. There's a lot of interesting spots. We'll talk a little bit more here about it later on here in our preview. But we're going to take a break here really quick. But before we do, as always, we got our trivia question of the week. We'll get the answer on the other side. So, Gene and fans listening, here it is. Rich Rodriguez is making his return to the sidelines in Morgantown. A win would tie him with Dana Holgorsen for second in program history. Who was the first team that Rich Rodriguez beat as the head coach of the Mountaineers? Was it A, Kent State, B, Ohio, or C, Boston College? Lock in your answers. No cheating, no Googling during the commercial break. We'll come back. We'll give the answer, get into the preview, make our picks at the end. You are watching the Walkthrough Game Day Show.
Let's go, Mountaineer Nation. The final whistle might blow, but the real breakdown is just getting started. Join us right after every WVU game for the Mountaineer post-game show. Instant analysis, real talk, and zero fluff. What went right, what went wrong, and what's next. We've got it all for you. Hit subscribe, turn on the notifications, and be part of the conversation. Win, lose, or draw, we're breaking it all down for you, Mountaineer style.
Want the most accurate updates on the West Virginia Mountaineers? Visit West Virginia on SI, the most trusted source on everything WVU. Several stories published every morning, every day before your feet hit the ground. From football, basketball, baseball, recruiting, transfer portal news, and more, we have it all for you. Every angle, every update, every morning. Welcome back to the Walkthrough Game Day Show. I'm Schuyler Callihan, and that is Eugene Napoleon. Before the break, we asked our trivia question of the week. So let's go ahead and get back into it, reveal the answer, and get on with our preview here. So once again, Rich Rodriguez with one more win. He'll tie Dana Holgorsen for second all-time in program history. But if you can remember all the way back to 2001, who was that first team that Rich Rod beat? Was it Kent State, Ohio, or Boston College? Gene, what say you?
Well, let me see. Since I didn't get a chance to cheat, no, let me stop.
Hey, I made this tough because these three answers were all three on the schedule to start
Absolutely.
the year that year. So,
And I do remember. So, Ohio.
ding, 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 ding. Gene, you got it. All right. Off to a hot start, 1-1. Let us know if you were right in the comments. Again, we won't be keeping score here, but hoping that you can be honest with us. So, yes, it was Ohio. And in that game, I've got the stats here. 20-3 was the final score. Wasn't really a great offensive game for WVU or really anybody except for a man by Avon Coburn. You probably have heard of him a time or two. He ran for 173 yards, 2 touchdowns on 35 carries. He was hauling that thing that day, Gene. Quick thoughts on Avon Coburn.
That pigskin was hollering. hey, as we say, running back to running back, first off, that's the man right there. You understand? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Look, he was toting that rock.
He's a legend. Avon Coburn.
Listen. Look, first off, shouts out to him. Not only a legend, good dude, man. Really, really good dude. Had some really good conversations with him over the years. Good dude.
Absolutely. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into our new segment here. A couple of years ago, if you guys watched our show, we did this thing. It was sometime right around here in the show where we did this fire 'em up speech, and Gene would kind of do a halftime show, or not a halftime. I guess it'd be a pregame thing, locker room
Yeah.
speech to get people going. People loved it. We're gonna do something similar to that, but a little different. Napoleon's Dynamite. Here we go. Yes, and look, we may be having some of the writers from the movie coming after us for this, but come on, just give us just a little. We're only doing it 12 times.
That's it.
We're
Little
not
grace.
trying to steal any naming rights or anything, so don't come after us too hard. So, Napoleon's Dynamite, our first edition of it. Gene's going to give his player to watch, the player to watch for the game. Then we'll start talking about some other guys this week. So, Gene, who is week one Napoleon's Dynamite?
Listen, you already know the answer. So we're going to say this in unison. You ready?
Let's do it.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Jaheim
Jaheim!
White. Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, man, I'm expecting Jaheim to come out and really set the stage and put college football on notice for the 2025 season.
Say
Honestly,
it again.
I'm expecting Jaheim White to come out and put college football for the 2025 season on notice. I'm expecting that man to tote that rock for probably north of about 185, about 3 tuggies on limited carries. I think he's going to do this on limited carries. Let's say anywhere between 17 and 19 carries.
Okay.
Means, you know what that means, right? That means Jaheim is going to break some long ones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what that means. And the reason why I'm so excited about this young man, you can just physically see he's been in that weight room.
Oh, yeah. He looks like Jaheim ate Jaheim from last year.
Okay. The young man has been in there eating the weights. You understand what I'm saying to you? So I personally think when you put on some pounds and you didn't lose a step, you're stronger, you're faster, you're more durable.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. That's a problem. That's a problem. You understand? So for me, for Napoleon's Dynamite, a player to watch, I can't go outside I gotta go stay in the running back room. Jaheim's gonna take that thing, like I said, north of about 185, 190, 19 carries and 3 tuggies.
Listen,
that's what you get.
It would be malpractice if you didn't pick Jaheim or a running back for your first ever Napoleon's Dynamite. So listen, and it's an easy pick too. You know, as we get throughout the year, we'll start getting into some players that you may have not heard about before, or you're starting to kind of understand who they are. Week one, we'll let Gene just have the breakaway layup right here, right? Just a nice little finger roll right into the rim. Just a nice easy one to get us going. So Jaheim White.
You understand?
Jaheim with our first ever Napoleon's Dynamite. So further on these players to watch, normally what we would do is talk a little bit about the opposing team. But, Gene, I got a feeling our viewers probably don't really care too much about Bobby Moe, with all due respect. So let's just keep it with WVU this week. And honestly, I feel bad for saying this, but it's just a matter of the situation. Every week I do these layouts, right? I send Gene this thing. It's got a layout. It's like usually 10 or 12 pages worth of stats and depth charts and notes and everything. This is all I sent him today. Show layout. That's all I sent him because it's all about West Virginia this week. I mean, when there's 70-some new players, I don't even care. Well, I mean, it would still matter if it was Pitt or somebody else, but there's so much newness. That's what really matters in week one. Figuring out who you are, what you can do, what you can't do, who you're not. So, yeah, we're going to keep it with West Virginia this week. So let's go. I'm going to start first. We'll both give you already gave one, so I'll give one, you'll give one, and then I'll round it out with one more. So I'm going to start with Fred Perry.
Oof. You took my guy.
I took your guy. Actually, you know what? I'll let you speak on Fred because I knew you know Fred. You know Fred, so I'll stay on the defense though, and I'm going to go Chase Wilson, Colorado State linebacker, very physical cat, likes to get his nose up in the run game. He's a leader. He plays with some swagger. And I think he's going to be one of the big time players on this defense. He's a no nonsense guy, Gene. Like he's quiet in front of the cameras. He's going to be quiet in those types of settings. But the moment he straps up and steps on the field, I mean that dude's an animal. He has no problem telling some young cat that doesn't know what he's doing, "Hey, get in your freaking spot." Like this is what he, and that's what I think defensively, or maybe you can say the whole team has really been missing over the last few years is somebody that, is going to keep somebody accountable and say, hey, this is where we got to be. This is what we got to do. This is what you're supposed to be doing. Chase Wilson is going to be that guy for this defense. You could say the same thing for Fred Perry, too, but I'm going Chase Wilson as a guy to watch this week.
I'm going to, again, I just want to speak on Fred Perry for
Please.
a quick minute.
Brandon coaches, man.
Well, I'm going to tell you something about Fred Perry. He's a dog. You understand? So he brings it every single play. If there's a timeout, you might get hit on the sideline. You understand? Yeah. He brings that type of intensity every single play. And see, for me, if you have a defensive player that you don't have to worry about, it's Fred Perry. It's Fred Perry. Because he's going to fly around. He is going to hit you if you're going to the damn bathroom.
So he might make you go to the bathroom with his hits.
Make you go to the bathroom. I love the fact that he's physical with everything that he does. And in this style of defense, that's the type of physicality that you need to bring to the table. So with a player like Fred Perry, it reminds me of the type of physicality that we had in my years at WVU. Yeah. You knew when you played West Virginia, you was going to get punched in the mouth. You understand? Okay.
People didn't like playing West Virginia back in the day. They saw West Virginia's schedule and said, oh, no. Like, even if they had the confidence to go and win the game, it was the mental exhaustion and the physical exhaustion that they knew that they were about to endure.
Absolutely. My guy, he was going to get hit square in the face. So for me, I loved our defenses back then because, like I said, they were physical. I believe that West Virginia, under Rich Rod and under Zach Alley, what they have right now, they have the makings of a really good, strong physical defense, and that's what you're going to need to sustain you and win the games that we had trouble winning over the last few seasons. I strongly believe that.
I was going to give one more player, but I have a feeling that I'm going to end up talking about him here in a minute now, and I'll let you know when that is. So let's go ahead and get into our game preview here. West Virginia, Robert Morris. Again, I'm not going to talk much about what the Colonials do well, what they don't, and all that. Normally in a game week starting next week with Ohio, you better believe it. We are going to be talking about Ohio's defense and how salty they can be because they were a top 10 unit last year. I don't know if it was total defense or against the run. It was one of the two. We're going to get into some numbers next week. So starting next week, we're going to start diving a little deeper into these games. But for this matchup, let's just start with the 50,000-foot view here, the kind of the cliche things, but maybe taking a little bit of a different angle on it. So in these games against FCS opponents or, inferior teams that you should beat, you've been in these types of situations before. How do you focus to not let that thing get into your head and think, we're stepping on the field, we should just wipe these dudes up and down the field, and it's going to be, I don't even have to give 100% today, just give 80% or 70%. How do you lock in and not make sure that doesn't creep into the minds of these Mountaineers this weekend?
So I got to be honest with you. It starts with accountability.
Insert Chase Wilson.
Fred Perry, like these type of players, it's not about, here's the thing. It's not about who you're playing. It's about
what you're doing.
Right. What are you doing? Are you going to hold the man next to you accountable? And that means I got to be 100% locked in to what my assignments are. So I don't have any MAs, missed assignments. I got to be locked into what the execution is of the play that's being called. I got to believe in it, offense, defense, and special teams. I want to be successful in all three phases of the game, right? In order to do that, you can't look at who you're playing. So they shouldn't even be worried about Robert Morris. I wouldn't care if it was Robert Morris, it was Robert Patton, if it was Robert Smith. I wouldn't care who it is, right? I know the game plan is let's execute at a very high level on offense, defense, and special teams every single week. And if we do that and we're holding each other accountable, we're going to have a hell of a season. So that's really where it starts. It's the mindset of don't look at Robert Morris. Okay, respect them as if a little bit of hyperbole here. Okay. Respect Robert Morris as if they're Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I did say it was hyperbole. I did say
that.
That.
You did. You did preface it.
I did preface that. So, and the reason being, you can't look at them and say, it's Robert Morris, we're going to go out there and give a C performance, because if you do, you're going to give a C performance. And that's not what this is about. This is the opening game of the season. It's Rich Rod's first game back. Oh, yeah. I'm looking for them jokers to come in here and really, like I said,
put the hammer down.
Ride the horse. That's what that's what I'm looking for. I'm saying that's what I'm looking for, Schuyler. We got to do. Listen, they have to do that to set the tone for the rest of the season. Honestly,
look, there's been some games in recent years. I think you guys know where I'm going with that, but there's been some games, these types of games, where you kind of hopefully the focus is there. There's been better FCS opponents come into Morgantown. So that's number one. Number two, I think with as much of a veteran presence that you have on this team, I don't really think it's going to be an issue, because you have so many fourth, fifth, sixth, I mean, even some 7-year guys. Like this is their last ride. This is it. It doesn't, that should not factor in at all. I don't, at this point, a lot of these guys too, even though they're 5th or 6th year seniors, this is their first year here. This may be their first year playing major college football. They may have played at the FCS level themselves, or lower, or junior college. So this is their first opportunity to go out and make a statement. So with that, what are some of the benchmarks you're looking for, offense and defense? And then I want to get into this little quarterback talk. So we can't have this show without talking about the quarterback. So benchmarks, absolutely, offense and defense for you.
So for me, benchmarks on offense, 56 points, 50 plus, I'll say 50 plus points, anywhere between 550 to 600 yards total offense. Again, the backs, like I said, Jaheim. North of, with him alone, north of, 185, 190, possibly 2, So that sets the tone for offense, right? I think the benchmark for defense, honestly, this is going to be, and not every game, but in this particular game, because they should be bloodthirsty, I'm talking at least 3 sacks, my guy. At least 3 sacks, right? I'm talking about 2 takeaways in the air, which is 2 picks, right? I'm talking about maybe 1 to 2 forced fumbles. So that's defense. Special teams, 2 big returns, 2 huge returns, both kickoff returns, and then 1 huge return on a punt return. Because if you do that, you put yourself that's a well-rounded game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that
could have gone better.
You executed on offense, you've executed on defense, you've executed in special teams. So that's the foundational piece that you can grow from going into week 2 against Ohio, and then week 3 against Pitt, and so on and so forth. That's again, maybe lofty, but that's my first week expectations.
I like it. I love it. I mean, you should be able to go out and do and accomplish many of those things for sure. So I think for me, I guess I'll stay away from the numbers since you hit on those. I'll go with more of a stylistic approach here. What do I want to see from both sides? So offense, I think you want to see the rhythm and of the tempo not be an issue. You want to see kind of almost like a flawless game in terms of them getting to the line, getting the ball, like literally spot the ball, help the referee. And Rich talked about this in his coach's show earlier the week. Don't throw the ball to the referee toward the sideline. Sprint the ball back to the middle of the field so they already have it there. Like doing those little things, I think is going to be huge. Not just this game, not but moving forward. But also, you gotta see something up front that's going to give you promise. If you have any bit of struggles of creating any bit of push up front, oh boy, it's going to be a little bit of a long year. So, offensive line, I don't expect it to be flawless even against Robert Morris, but you've got to show that you can at times flick it on and be dominant. So that's the big thing that I'm going to be looking for, really, is that's the number one thing. Secondly, the quarterback play's got to be consistent with making good reads, good decisions. I'm not so much looking for the big splash plays. Those are going to come. But in this offense, it's so much about making the right reads because you have so much of an RPO element in this offense. I know Rich doesn't like to call it RPOs, but it's what it is. So that's going to be key. Defensively, I think you just want to establish an identity. We've talked about it with Fred Perry and Chase Wilson. Those two are
Right.
two tough sons of guns, and there's a handful of others we didn't even mention.
Yes.
Setting the tone this week will help kind of spill over into Ohio and then spill over into Backyard Brawl. To by the time you reach Big 12 conference play, you know what your identity is. You have an attitude about you, have a swagger about you. This is a team you should be taking care of business. Don't allow them to go put up 20 points on you. Go force a bunch of 3-and-outs, get them behind the chains early, have Zach Alley send a bunch of pressure like he's always going to, but kind of encourage it a little bit more by getting him behind the sticks. So those are kind of things I'm looking for in this one. Anything else you want to hit on, Gene, before we move on here?
I think everything that you said is so correct and so poignant. I just think setting the tone early is really important. Like I said, in all three phases, the offense, defense, special teams, because when you do that and you're at home, you allow the opposition to understand, not today.
Yep.
Not today. We're going to jump on early and often, and we're going to make sure that you understand we establish the rhythm and the pace of the game because we can do that. We're going to impose our will. That's important.
So, as I mentioned, got to talk quarterbacks for just a few minutes here. It's got to be a talking point, especially when you have 5 that are in the mix and there's 4 ors listed on the depth chart. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know even really where to begin because you don't know who the first guy that's going to trot out there is. I think we can all make our assumptions as to who that's going to be, but I think you're going to see at least 3 quarterbacks in this game. I've said it for a while. If you don't have multiple quarterbacks in this game, you got some big problems. So I think you're going to see 3. You might even see 2 on the first drive. It may not be the first quarter. It might just be the first drive you see 2. But assuming here, and you know what that means, but let's just assume that those 3 are Nico, Jalen Henderson, and Max Brown.
Right.
What do those guys have to do to separate themselves as they go into week 2? But also, of the 3, what are you looking for in particular? Because obviously some guys, like Nico, he's been here. This for him, it should feel like this is my time, right? For Jalen, he's the guy with the big wow factor. He made some big plays at Texas A&M. Been out for a year. This is a prove-it opportunity for him. For Max Brown, had a little opportunity at Florida, got injured a bunch at Charlotte last year, was in a bad offense. This is his opportunity. So what are you looking for in those 3 guys, assuming they play?
Well, hopefully, first off, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath. Hope, because any one of those 3 they're fully capable of running this style of offense. Let's be clear, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they go in so hyper to prove a point, that's where you start making mistakes. You start making mental mistakes. And at the quarterback position, as I like to call the CEO position, right? At the quarterback position, you can't have those mental mistakes because they bleed into other things throughout the rest of the team. If they see your quarterback rattle, now you got other problems. So I think just first off, take a breath because you're supposed to be here on this stage. That's number 1, right? You've earned your spot. Number 2, think in this style of offense, Rich says it all the time, and it's very true. You have to be a willing runner.
Yeah.
But in willing runner, don't make mistakes with the football. You can't have costly turnovers, either fumbles or misreads. When it's, I know he hates the RPO. I know he hates that term, but technically it is about a football IQ. When I put my guy out there, whoever's out there, they have to minimize the mistakes. So whoever moves the chains and they do it effectively and efficiently, right? And we're running the offense to the level and to the pace that I like, because I know that's what Rich likes. He likes his signal caller to be able to control the pace as he's calling the plays. He wants his quarterback to be able, it's like this.
Right.
It's like clockwork. And if you can do that, I guarantee you, whoever of the three does that more consistent than the other two, that's going to be your starter. And usually in his offense, if you go back and you watch the offenses and the quarterbacks that have played big in his offense, 90% of the snaps is going to go to that guy.
Yeah.
Unless he's hurt and can't go. So whoever it is, they better be ready and able to answer the bell 85, 90 plus snaps per game consistently at this level. And if they can do that in this pace of offense, I'm telling you, Schuyler, I like all three of these kids. Let me first say that. I like all three of them. I think they're ultra talented. They have good heads on their shoulders. I think Rich and that staff did a really good job of bringing in, the other two quality, transfer portal kids. Nico, we know already. We've seen Nico. Now, have we seen him in this offense? No, we have not. So let's be clear. That's why I'm saying
it's an even playing field.
Yeah. Look. Take a breath. Okay. I'm just saying. So whoever can do that more consistent, that's who's going to be your starter. That's who's going to be more pretty much under center or in the gun, whatever, more consistently than the other two. But I do agree with you. We're going to see three quarterbacks.
At bare minimum.
At bare minimum. First off, you have to, because you have to see what you got.
Yeah. I hate to beat a dead horse here, but to not be disrespectful, this is kind of like a preseason game. You don't really have those in college football. So you kind of got to act as if this is kind of your tune-up game. It is what it is. So you've got to find answers.
I agree. You have to figure out who's who in a real game, real live game situation. And it just happens to be, unfortunately, Robert Morris. Just saying.
Yeah. And look, and this is another thing that I feel like a broken record on, but whoever takes that first snap, please do not read too much into it, because I'm telling you, do not be surprised. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not predicting it to happen, but don't be surprised that if Nico takes the first snap, that if by the second or third snap, they're bringing on Jalen Henderson.
Right.
And anything is possible.
You bring in Mac Brown.
Yeah. And just because, say, Nico comes away with the most snaps at quarterback in this game, that doesn't mean he's going to be the guy. Or if Jalen has the most snaps, doesn't mean he's going to be the guy. What's going to determine who becomes the so-called guy is what happens on Saturday. And it's going to be an evaluation data point every single week. They've got enough guys in that room that Rich really likes. He's not afraid to have that thing turning a little bit. If there's not enough consistency there from said person, I mean, he's not going to have a short leash on guys and just yank them after every mistake. But there's enough depth in that room that he's gonna keep going until he finds that answer. So, all right. That's our preview, if you will, if you want to call it that. More of our look at West Virginia. Oh, by the way, didn't talk about him. I apologize. The guy was going to say tight end Grayson Barnes, watch out, big vertical threat, can hit up the seams. I think he's going to be someone that you're going to want to watch as the season unfolds. So let's do it, Gene. Drum roll, please. It's time to get into our weekly pick'ems. Last year, Gene, a trip down memory lane as I believe I took the crown from you last year there, two-time champ.
I think you did. You did. Yes, you did.
And,
yes,
and
you did.
quite comfortably, if I recall. I think 5 games, 6 games, something like that. So, feels good. Yeah, feels good to be a winner.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Take a breath. Take a breath.
You're right. I got to at least win another one to get back onto your playing field, and then we can talk after. So
now you're talking.
All right, this is a big, massive week 1. There's some really good games. There was a few I couldn't put on here because we only picked 5 a week, 4, and then West Virginia. So let's go ahead and get things kicked off with Texas heading to Columbus to take on the Ohio State Buckeyes at noon on Fox. Boy, this is interesting, Gene. I think all this hype about Arch Manning and how he's already basically been gifted the Heisman Trophy. They're going to be the national champions. Like, I believe the kid. I think he's going to be good. But he hasn't had enough on tape to prove or to warrant that type of discussion just yet. Okay. I think it's coming. I don't think it's there right now. You know how tough of a place Ohio State is to play. Even though I think Texas has the quarterback edge here, I'm going to go with Ohio State. They got a lot of playmakers, especially Jeremiah Smith. Give me the Buckeyes.
Okay. Well, first off, let me clear something up. Hold on. Don't be disrespectful. Don't call that man Art. Excuse me, Mr. Manning.
Hey,
Mr. Manning.
Yes, my bad. Mr. Manning.
Mr. Manning.
The next one. Mr.
Manning is going to take the Longhorns in here and really lay one on the Buckeyes. And I'm going to tell you why. He is the real deal.
Okay.
So I got Texas.
All right. I was not expecting. I thought you might go Texas, but I didn't think it was that convincingly. Okay. All right.
Texas.
Alabama. Roll Tide, speaking of, who just canceled their series mutually with West Virginia earlier in the week. But they will be taking on Florida State, 3:30 on ABC. This isn't the same Alabama, but you could make an argument. Florida State hasn't recovered since they got snubbed from the CFP a few years back. So I don't know. I'm actually a little back and forth on this one because I'm not sold on Alabama's quarterback situation whatsoever. I think they've got serious question marks there. I don't know what they're going to do offensively. I love Tommy Castellanos, the new quarterback at Florida State, who transferred in from Boston College, a really short kid, but he makes up for it with his playmaking ability. I'm going to go with the Tide, but it's going to be very, very tight. Florida State gives them a nice little scare in week 1. Alabama.
Okay, no, I'm going straight to Alabama. Look, Castellanos is incredible. Watched his whole career at BC. He is a difference maker, but I just think the Tide defense has a little bit too much, so I'm going with Alabama.
Gene, when I say Death Valley, what do you think of?
Look, I don't think of who's coaching them.
We got the Battle of Death Valley here.
Now, I don't want to be disrespectful. So I ain't talking about, in this case, the home team. When you say Death Valley, now Clemson.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I just want to
Okay. So the battle of the real Death Valley here, the battle of 2 tigers. So we've got a whole lot on the line here. And really, the winner of this game's got a pretty good, nice little start to their CFP resume here. So LSU at Clemson, 7:30 on ABC. Man, talk about a showdown between 2 prolific quarterbacks, too. You got Nussmeier at LSU. You've got Cade Klubnik at Clemson, who really took a step last year after all the question marks surrounding him. I don't know that LSU can win these games. Like, I'm a huge Nussmeier fan. I think he's going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the country. And I think he might even be better than – I think he is better than Cade Klubnik. But LSU has just always struggled in these season-opening games. I don't know what it is. Going on the road here to Death Valley, this ain't no joke. I'm going the Tigers of Clemson.
Yeah. I was going to say, yeah. Let's see that's easy. Yeah. For some odd reason, LSU has been falling on their face for the last few years in game 1. So now you bite off Clemson. That's too big of a bite. You can't chew that much. Too big of a bite. So no. Yeah, I'm Clemson. Yeah.
Next up, we've got a kind of a throwback, kind of old hatred here with the Catholics versus the convicts. I don't know if it's sociably right to say that now, but look, everyone knows it as that. So it's Notre Dame at Miami, 7:30. This one's on Sunday at ABC. So we got a standalone game kind of on Sunday night after we devour the first big full day of college football on Saturday. I'm not big on Carson Beck. I'm really not. And I know there's obviously other pieces. I know I keep bringing up the quarterbacks, but I mean, look, we're going through these things rather quickly, and this is the easiest thing to talk about. But I'm not huge on Carson Beck. I think Notre Dame's defense is always going to be salty under Marcus Freeman. You've got the best running back in the country, in my opinion, in Jeremiah Loves. I got to go with the Fighting Irish here. And honestly, I don't even think it's close. Notre Dame rolls.
Dude, I'm with you on that. I just think there's too much firepower in what Notre Dame is bringing and what they do, and they're so well coached. So no doubt about it. Yeah, I like Miami. Let me say that I like Miami, but not in this game. I just think Notre Dame has too much.
Rich Rod 2.0. It's finally here after months of waiting. We've got the return of Rich Rodriguez on the sidelines in Morgantown, West Bygod, Virginia, this Saturday at 2 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Robert Morris, West Virginia. Here's what Rich Rodriguez had to say about this week's matchup.
So it'll be a little surreal, like it was the opening press conference, and I mentioned earlier on one of our taping our TV show that I don't want it to be about me or new coaches or whatever. I mean, it's about West Virginia. So, but I'm grateful for the opportunity to be back here. I'm grateful for all the people on the staff. The fans have been, unreal. It's been phenomenal to be back and have everybody feel everybody's support for the program and for what we're trying to build here. So that part is going to be really nice. But once we get on the field, it's, did we win the toss? Did we lose the toss? What are we starting with and going from there?
All right, so there it is from the man himself, Rich Rodriguez, ready to go week one. Look, I'm not spending a whole lot of time on this, but in terms of the analysis of who I'm picking here. But man, talk about nostalgia. You got Rich Rod, Noel Devine, Pat White, all back. You've got the glossy blue helmets. I think that's been a forgotten piece of this over the last couple of months because of all the depth chart talk, the fall camp talk. We got the glossy blue helmets back finally, Gene. All is right in the world right now in West Virginia land. And the only thing that can make it better is a dominating, convincing week one win over the Colonials of Robert Morris. I'm going to West Virginia big by 40.
Do you see it?
I see it.
You see that flying WV? Okay. Yes, I'm with you. I'm not even going to get into hyperbole about no Robert Morris, whatever the case may be. West Virginia big. As a matter of fact, you said by 40. I could agree with that. By 40. With just let's just say Morgantown will be rocking.
Oh yeah.
After this game. Okay. And I'm glad for it. I'm happy for the fan base. I'm happy for the state, happy for our great university. And congratulations, Rich, on coming back home to start your second stint there. I couldn't be happier for you and your family.
Absolutely. Gotta love it. And last couple of things that we want to do some housekeeping here. First of all, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on our YouTube page here at West Virginia on the side. If you're watching on our site, go over and do that for us, please. It helps us out greatly with the algorithm. Secondly, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, submit your picks. If you go 5 for 5, you get his autograph. You don't get mine because you don't want that anyways. But you get this man's autograph and picture of him toting that thing back in the day, back in the late 80s. And it's a sweet deal. So make sure you get your opportunity to do that by dropping your picks in the comments section. And also, a little tip of the hat here to Lee Corso, because he really is the inspiration for this show. And he obviously has no idea about this. He's probably never heard of us or this show for that matter. But back a few years ago, I had this idea of like, hey, West Virginia, this was way before podcasts were really a big thing. And to be honest, we were one of the very first West Virginia podcasts out there. This was way back in the day, like 9, 10 years ago. And I wanted to do a preview type of show. We make picks at the end. It was geared toward West Virginia. And this was a big thing with Lee Corso. I mean, you've seen me put on the West Virginia helmet a few times. You've seen me do some crazy stuff. Gene's done some crazy stuff, ripping up, whoever, he was going to pick somebody else and end up picking West Virginia. But he's the inspiration to this show. Hell of a career to Lee. It's going to be a pretty emotional Saturday. I might even have some, teardrops coming out of my eyes watching that show on Saturday. So, Gene, if you want to say something real quick before we hop off.
Absolutely, man. Lee Corso is a legend. And as you stated, all the things are so accurate and so correct about this man. He really started what this whole phenomenon about, podcasting and even before the podcast, Lee Corso, I think, was one of the first people to really educate others about high level of what football IQ was. Because Lee Corso to explaining, what a particular play was. He wouldn't just give you the score. He wouldn't just give you the teams. He would tell you why.
Yeah.
And the antidotes that he would come up with to express and to explain why
not so fast.
It's legendary. So, you know what, Coach Corso, Coach Lee Corso, man, listen, it's been an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure and a blessing to watch you for all these years. And I wish you nothing but the very best in your retirement. You left the game much better than you're leaving the game better because of your hands and your tutelage and all the things that you've given to it before, what it was before. And that's all a man of your stature needs. You're leaving it far better than what it was. And that's a beautiful tribute. So congratulations, Coach. Look, if I had a hat on, right, if I was wearing a hat, my hat's off to you.
There it is. We love you, Coach. We thank you for inspiring the show. And also, we will be back here on Saturday for the Mountaineer postgame show. Both Gene and I will recap the action, talk about our initial thoughts on what took place at Mountaineer Field against Robert Morris. And then on Sunday, I'll be back at it bright and early in the morning on Between the Years for the morning after. So there it is. Year 7, Episode 1 in the books as we keep on trucking this thing forward. For Eugene, Napoleon, I'm Schuyler Callihan. We thank you guys for tuning in. This has been the Walkthrough Game Day Show.